happened last time we was recording live. The IG was tripping last week, but it's back. So if you're watching on IG live, appreciate you for tuning in. Listen, I also want to start the show out by saying thank you to everybody that wished a happy birthday today. I turned 35, so I'm super excited about that. So I really appreciate it. My DM's been flooded, the Facebook been flooded, the text messages, all of that, you know what I mean? So I genuinely appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day to show me some love and some support, especially shout out to moms. Moms called me first thing in the morning, saying her annual happy birthday song, which obviously made my day. So super excited for that. Listen, we have a dope show. I'm gonna just jump right into it, man. We got a dope show that's actually been in the making for a while now, right? Like I was talking to this gentleman, I think about a year ago, about his experience, his life, and we just had conversation. And like I feel like-minded people, you just kind of connect, right? Like in person, when you get to talking to somebody, you just you feel their energy, right? You feel like, oh, okay, the authenticity. You feel like somebody who genuinely cares about what they're doing. So we were supposed to do this a while ago, and it's on me. I'm not gonna lie. I've been, I'm saying, super busy with a lot of different stuff going on. If you know, and I've been putting in a lot of work elsewhere. But I appreciate the patience of this brother, who has been really making waves in the community in a lot of different ways. I mean, I know he could talk about that, or we'll talk about that a little bit more. Shout out to the folks that's on the IG live. What's going on? I see you, Tori, in the building. Miho in the building, Spot, you in the building. Okay, Brandon Rice in the building. Shout out my guy, B Money. Yeah. I said Brandon Brian. My bad, Brian. I'm so used to talking to your brother Brandon. My bad, Brian. But yeah, anyway, so the gentleman I'm gonna bring up, man, is somebody who's doing a lot of work right now in the in the community of Sacramento. But I want to go into his story a bit before we talk about all the work that he's been doing and the stuff that he's been pushing. So ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my guy Shuntae. What's popping, bro? What's popping,
man? How you
man? I'm solid, man. Tell me, man, how you feeling today? How's life? Talk to the people.
Man, I'm feeling good. First and foremost, man, I wanted to say happy birthday to you, brother. I ain't even know it was your birthday, man. But for sure, man, big ups on that, man. 35 is definitely a transitional year, man. So
yeah,
many blessings to you. Today I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. It was a long day, just working with the baby. So I'm here, man. I'm here. I'm present. I'm always intentional. So
yeah. You see, I had to take accountability, right? And I said, I was like, we were supposed to have this for a minute, you know what I'm saying? But obviously some stuff that wasn't working out for me. But I'm super glad that you was, humble and willing to still be able to be on the show, with this. And so let's talk a little bit about, where you come from, right? Let's talk about your beginning, because I think that's super critical in the getting to know why you do what you do now, right? Like I feel like it starts from that beginning. So take everybody, the listeners, back, and shout out to, okay, again, I see you on the IG. My boy Brian said I'm all good, but thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm so used to saying what's up to your brother, saying via the messages, but we've known each other since a long time now. So and Tori said, hey, so what's popping? But let's take us back to the original, right, where everything started from. Talk about where you grew up and some of the challenges you kind of faced throughout your journey.
Absolutely. So I'm a Sacramento native, born and raised here. First, initially was my first house. My mom told me, because I was too young to remember, but it was North Highlands. And then at 2 years old, I moved over to Meadowview, and that's in South Sacramento. For those of you who don't know, man, Meadowview. Just thinking back, man, I ain't gonna
wow, right there.
Yeah, man. Because I'm not gonna lie, man. It's a lot. It definitely was community. So what most people don't know is I was raised in within a nonprofit organization. So that's first and foremost, right? So that's kind of like the foundation of what I currently do now. That nonprofit organization was called Dayspring Outreach. If you don't know about Dayspring Outreach, I can tell you that. Absolutely. I could tell you back in those days, man, it was heavily impactful. My godfather goes by the name of Wayman Logan. um, is the CEO or founder of Dayspring Outreach, along with my godmother Tammy Logan, his wife. And he's a man who came from Knoxville, Tennessee. Real hard head who kind of landed in the community and was like, you know what, this is what I'm gonna start. God gave him the vision to really, kind of bring a bit of light to a really really dark place, which was Meadowview community. Um, Meadowview was it reeked of gang violence, drug abuse, things of that nature. Fatherless homes, right? Single parent homes. It was a lower socioeconomical community. Um, and so I was a part of that, right? But that was my breath of fresh air. So again, just keeping in mind that foundation that I kind of started from. Um, my god brother started to get older. My god dad had to make a important decision to say, you know what, um, I got to make sure I save, my kids too, right? So he moved out of the community, um, and when he moved out of the community, that's when I started to really, really start to kind of get into a lot of gangs, like gang violence, right?
Mm.
So I didn't have a father in my home. My father he was strung out on, drugs. He was a drug addict, right? And unfortunately, he chose that over being, a father to me and my brother. I'm the youngest of four siblings or three siblings, right? So I'm the fourth child. Um, Mom's single. She has a big heart. Was always there, but she had to work a lot, right? She had to provide. Not to mention my cousins was in the house too, because my uncles wasn't in the best position to take care of them too. So we just had like a real big family that my mom had to provide for, right? And so for me, I decided to go towards the streets.
Mm.
And I let the streets kind of raise me. And at first it started off light, right? So I'm a young kid. I kind of remember being like 10, 11. And I'm just, I'm saying just what I hear, right? I'm like, oh, Meadowview or da da da. And I'm kind of just starting up just the basics, right? Just saying where I'm from. And then that led to fights.
Mm.
And then it led to even more stuff after that, right? So, now we talking about gun violence. We talking about, you know, actual riots. We talking about just real neighborhood beefs, right, between rival sets. Uh, and so, I remember at 14, I was arrested for possessions of firearms on the school zone.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I was found. I was found in a car. I was found in a car at that time. I think we had. I think it was about 15 to 20 guns in the car. Not to do anything at that school or anything like that, but
Right. It's just the
I
way.
always absolutely. It was just a way. It was just a way that things went, right? And so,
Yeah.
um, I always think about that time, like, man, that saved me from making, that 5 or 15 second decision that could have altered 15 to 20 years of my life or even more, right? And
Right.
so,
Right.
from there, I do like everybody do when they first go to jail. Oh God, if you get me out of this, I
Yeah.
forgot to mention, right? I'm a
Good
God
old.
fearing man, right? I'm a God fearing man. I was raised in the church. I know the Lord is my shepherd prayer, right? All Father, all of that, right? And so, that's what I went back to. God,
Right.
if you get me out of this, I promise I change my ways. I promise this, I promise that, right? And I spent 49 days in there. Got a deal, took the deal, spent 49 days in juvenile hall, and then was released on a 30-day ankle monitor. So I was good for that 49 days and those 30 days, right? I made sure I was straight. Uh, but then it got deeper. One thing that I did as a kid is I fought a lot. So I was a big fighter. I was a big fighter. And that fighting got like it garnered a whole lot of attention for me and my name. And so, back in those times, it wasn't a lot of the social media, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of the Instagrams and
Word of
all of
mouth.
that.
That's it.
It was word of mouth, right? So, and by word of mouth, my name was really, really important for my age group, right? Maybe the top name for my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Um, and so, from there, it garnered a lot of attention, and it automatically pushed me into that leadership role, right? And so now I'm responsible for seeing who is allowed to be on this set. And I'm responsible for, making sure that people are pushing a certain line when it comes down to certain things, and all of that. I ain't gonna go too deep into it, but it put me in a position to lead. And if I'm being honest, I like the attention because that was the attention that I wasn't receiving at home, right? So I'm
Mhm.
thinking everybody loved me.
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
Yeah.
everybody loved me. People screaming my name. They know who I am. It's that popularity, right? But it was false.
Hmm.
And I realized that about a year and a half later, when I was right before the age of 16, and I got arrested for something a little bit deeper, right? Something that definitely could have took my life away.
Hmm.
Something that had a whole neighborhood ready to not only cause me harm but my whole family. Um, and at that point, there's rules to the street life, right?
Yeah.
When you hear something, they like, okay, I was in a position to where my neighborhood was like, you know what, you got to show paperwork. And then I had a whole nother neighborhood that I got to worry about whether or not I'm safe, if they was gonna get to me. uh, and so that broke my heart because I knew my neighborhood like the back of my hand, and I was loyal. When I got arrested for that, I I made a decision like, yo, I don't care if I got to do the rest of my life in jail. Like I was at that point. I was one of those young men who
Couldn't
really
see that
made that.
far. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
Almost like
couldn't
you
see that
were
far.
just living in the right now. Like, man,
Yeah,
this is the best I got, so I'm ready to risk it,
absolutely.
whatever. You know?
Absolutely. So I made that conscious decision. Like I don't care at this time, right? If I live or if I die, if I had to spend the rest of my life in jail or prison, that's what it is. That's just what it is for me.
Yeah.
And I remember how I felt to really be in that space. Um, and so it broke my heart to see, a lot of friends kind of turn their backs on me in that moment that I needed them the most. It felt like my whole neighborhood turned their back on me, right? Not even for any reason. I still have one of the cleanest names and the cleanest stories, right? um
Well,
but
hold on before
it's
before you continue on that.
mhm,
I really want to just touch on that a little bit more because
mhm,
you know we get into these circumstances, right?
mhm,
Because there's an absence somewhere else, right? And you talked about it, like, you know what I'm saying? Your pops obviously was doing what he was doing. And
mhm,
then so, you found that love or what you felt like was love at the time, right? From people that was in your community, right?
mhm,
Outskirts. And so,
mhm,
and you get so invested in it, right? And
mhm.
super like, you're like, I'm ready to risk my life. But then when shit kind of hits the fan, then all of a sudden it's like, I was ready to risk my life, but now people aren't even doing the same for me, right? Like now
Absolutely.
I'm in a particular situation, it's like I'm looking back and seeing like, where's all the people that I was ready to die for? Where's all the people that I was ready to go to jail for? Like, where my support at, right? And I think
Absolutely.
a lot of people kind of face this reality later on, right? After they've gotten themselves into certain predicaments where they're like, oh wow, like I'm not what, or this isn't, not I'm not, but this isn't what what I'm willing to give. This isn't what I've been going. Like my mom used to tell me when I was younger, she'd be like, you're going harder for people than they would for you. But we don't see that. You know what I'm saying? All we see is like, oh, I'm going hard because it's life. Like I'm ride or die. Everybody, we riding with each other, but that's not the way it's actually seen. But so I just wanted to highlight that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's false. It's false. And to be honest, I feel like we gonna really get a chance to dive deep into that. Um,
Yeah.
later on in our conversation, but it's false, right? So I was really kind of sold on the false dream, um, because although I knew the history of my neighborhood, although I knew the history of gangs and things of that nature that was going on, all of the politics in my neighborhood, it still was a lot of stuff that wasn't really necessarily started off my decisions, right?
Mm,
And so we cultivate so many young people who come after us, right, to follow this line of, oh, this is where you from, this is the line that you're supposed to push. But if you really dig deep enough, that started off as an altercation between two people because one person did something that was unforgivable,
right.
and you are carrying on that beef.
Right.
You know what
I'm
I'm
fighting that
saying?
battle.
Yeah, you fighting a battle of a decision that somebody else made, so it's false. Um, but just kind of getting out of that situation, my mom made the decision, to send me over to my goddad. So once I got out of jail for, I was only in jail for 3 days, got right out. Um, and then I moved to my goddad because my mom, she was terrified. She's thinking like, man, they're gonna harm you, they're gonna do something to you, or worse, they're gonna do something to me. And so I left, and my god, my goddad was not having it. He like, yo, boy, you get
Tighten
in
up.
that car, boy, you get in that car, you better sit in the back seat behind them tents. You can't have a cell phone. You can't do this. You need to be working out. You need to make sure you go to school. You need to make sure you get good grades. Stop talking to females, right? Just really undoing my mentality. Slowly but surely, just really undoing my mentality. And so, I I had a chance to step outside of the box. And I never forget this story. My god brothers were going to Capital Christian Center. And I remember me and my brother, we 10 months apart. So I'm an Irish twin, they call it that. But um, me and my brother, we was hung up on, the neighborhood stuff. We wanted the best shoes, and we wanted to make sure we dressed nice and all that type of stuff right there. And I always see my god brothers, they had on, basic Nikes. They dress cool, they dress nice, they still from the neighborhood too, but it was basic. It was real
Yeah.
basic. And so, one day my goddad had brought my god brothers in, they was like, man, uh, what them kids wear at Capital Christian Center? Oh man, them skateboarders, they be wearing busted up Vans, got holes in the Vans, and this, and holy jeans. We like, what? That could never be us. He was like, yeah, but tell him what your friend about to do right when he graduates. Oh, he about to own a whole chain of grocery stores. Oh, he this. Oh, such and such about to go do this and take over this, this big Fortune 500 company. And that blew my mind. I
Mm.
just remember that conversation. It blew my mind. And I'm like, here I am thinking so inside the box, caught up on so much small stuff that I can't even see the bigger picture, that there's a whole nother world out there that I need to be chasing, right? Because
Right.
the idea and the goal has always been to make it out of the neighborhood.
Right.
And I think we forget that by, getting too heavily involved in what's going in within our neighborhood, right? We don't see that vision no more. So it kind of brought me back down to ground. Fast forward a little bit, left my goddad's house, moved back to my neighborhood because I just felt like I was running. Not really running, but I just felt like I'm not about to be scared to
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I
If
don't live in
somebody
fear.
want, if somebody want my life, they're gonna have to take it. But I ain't finna give it to them, right? And I
Right.
just kind of went back with that mentality, but also the mentality that I'm not finna do the same things that I was doing. I'm not kicking it with those same people that turn their backs on me, right?
Yeah.
I need to do something better. Um, and then I, graduated. Made my mom. That's all she wanted. She wanted me to graduate, so I ended up graduating from Sheldon High School.
Yes, sir.
Never went to a school within my neighborhood or where that was heavily populated by people from my neighborhood because my mom just would never let it happen because of, she just already knew what I was into. So I ended up graduating from Sheldon High School. That was the last school of 5 schools that I went to, high schools that I went to. Um, and shortly after, I had my daughter. I always call her my miracle. That one who saved me because she truly softened my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really think like, man, if I would have had a son or something like that, I don't know if my heart would have got soft like that. But my daughter softened my heart, like, cause when I looked at that little girl, I was like, yo, all I know is this little girl can't see me in a grave, and this little girl can't see me in a cell.
Right.
That's all I knew, right? And so, for me, man, I was introduced to a nonprofit organization called Sacramento Act, fresh out of high school. They happen to have funding to work in the Meadowview area. Um, I volunteered at one of their sessions at San Pernil Community Center. Did really, really well because, of course, I was close to the issue. I knew what I was talking about, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of those questions is what can we do to help save some of the people who grew up like you, right? And I had a plethora of answers, right?
Right, let
I
me
got a
pull
plethora.
out my
Let me
my
let me
list.
tell you what would have saved me, right? So, after that, I got offered a job, and that kind of just set the foundation for the work that I do now. And man, from there, I discovered purpose. I discovered my calling. I discovered why, I experienced things that I've experienced, and it's genuinely to help save lives, right? To take to expose people to a different life who comes from the same walks or the same paths that I've walked down, right? And so, yeah, that's how I'm here today. I've never stopped at work.
Man. So
Hmm.
talk about, if you could, what it felt like, right? I mean, I know you talked about what it felt like to see your daughter, have your daughter, right? And
Hmm.
to have that feeling of like, oh, I can't let her see me in a negative light, right? Talk
Hmm.
about what it felt like when you were able to finally list off those things that the community could do to stop other people from ending up in similar predicaments. Because I think, like, people who do the work within the community, like, there's a certain feeling that you get when you're reinvesting it, right? Like, it's
Hmm.
just it's I'm not gonna say it's like a high, but you're like, when you reinvest back in the community, you like, I got the experience, and now people are listening to the experience as opposed to just going
Hmm.
off what they think they know because they're not from here or they don't have no ties to the community. Like, talk about what
Hmm.
it feels like for you when you were able to finally help address the community through your experience.
To be honest, it felt like I now know what my purpose is.
Oh, yeah.
That's honestly what it felt like, and that's why I say, like, while doing the work, I discovered what my purpose was, because I've always taken away from the community. I can't tell you how many people, I've introduced to that lifestyle who aren't here anymore, or who are spending the rest of their lives in prison, right? Based off of things that I've shown them, based off of a certain morale that I push within my neighborhood. Um, so it felt like I was finally doing the right thing, right? It felt like I was pouring back into the neighborhood, but specifically my neighborhood, which I've taken so much away from. Um, so man, there is no greater feeling, and that's a feeling that I've made lifelong for me, right? That's something that I dedicate my life to, because I can't get that back. I can't get those people that I've shown certain things to, right? Who've grown to make different decisions, and now they're not here no more. I can't take that back away, right?
Mm.
So this is how I give back, right? This is how I continue to grow and do what God is calling me to do.
No doubt. And tell me, what is it like when you're able to reconnect with some of the folks that maybe, you started or introduced to the life or was
Hmm.
in the life with, like, nowadays? So for example, like, I just did a episode 3 weeks ago, maybe, or something like that, with my boy Funk, who he ended up, getting a life sentence, and ended up, getting released after 13 years. And so he came onto the show a few weeks ago and did an episode with me and just talked about his experiences, after doing 13 years in the penitentiary and getting out when he was sentenced to 25 to life. So now he's
Hmm.
out doing music, living his best life. Um, so, and it was just, for me, sometimes it's like, man, I love the fact that, like, he's doing big things, but it's also like, you know, um, it's a mixed feeling because it's like, dang, I wish that he would have been able to enjoy what he was meant to enjoy earlier too. You know what I'm saying? It sucks
Hmm.
because so much of, you know, the world has been taken from him, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
from those years that he was sitting. So, like, what's the feeling like for you when you see, oh, let me acknowledge this comment real quick. If they didn't turn their back, your whole life may be different right now. It made you start to think and reflect. Absolutely. And you may have introduced them to the hood, but it's still their decision to join it. That's a good point as well, too. But talk to me, if you can, about, like, the feeling that you get when you are able to reconnect, with those individuals.
The individuals to be honest, it's it's a mix. It's a
Mhm.
mix, and I say that because a lot of individuals, right? I'm happy to see that they've grown from that lifestyle as well, right? So some of them, they kind of fall in down the same path or their own path, right? That that's positive. And so for me, I'm always pushing positivity.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no point, at my age, if you still, yeah, I'm 35. So at my age, if you still gang banging, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. That's
Right.
crazy. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
That's
tough.
wild.
That's tough.
Um, so it's like it's like, because once right?
Yeah.
I get it if you're a young man that don't know. I get it if you was raised in certain circumstances where you don't have a choice. So for me, it's mixed. I'm happy to see people who's doing positive stuff, who's pushing positive missions, who's pouring back into the community, or just doing good for themselves, right? Where I know, like, man, I didn't think you was gonna make it, but
Mhm.
they're actually doing something with themselves. Um, for those who aren't doing nothing with themselves, I really don't have the patience for it.
Mm.
To be honest with you, I really don't have the patience for it. And it's like, it's love, but it's love from afar.
Right.
Um,
Right.
because my goal and my calling is to save me yesterday, which is my youth.
Hmm.
I can't save you, right? And so, or
Woo, woo,
I
woo.
can't do that.
That's facts.
Yeah,
That's facts.
I can't do that, because you are a person who knows, but you still are making the decision to carry on down this path.
Yeah.
When it literally it just takes you saying, I'm not doing this, and making that decision and making sure that you're consistent and dedicated to changing your life,
Right.
right? Um, and so again, it's mixed for me, right? That's how it feels. And then I also wanted to speak on, what you said, about your boy, your friend. I forgot his name. That
Oh,
was on the show.
oh,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, okay. Um, a lot of times people, they internalize the fact that they miss something. Uh, but sometimes God preserves us.
Mm.
Sometimes God preserves us. Um, Sometimes you need to sit in isolation and experience different things to understand what your mission is truly, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Missing something, missing something is dying. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
You miss everything. There's there's no more, right? But sometimes we must get out of our circumstances. And I was blessed to be able to go to my goddad's house, but don't get it confused. That was equivalent to a prison to me. I couldn't. That's what it felt like for me,
Yeah.
right? But some people need an actual prison or some. Not saying that that's what he needed, but some people have to go through those experiences to learn different lessons. And so I tend to lean on the side of preservation versus actually missing something.
No, I can appreciate that too,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Because I definitely, just recognizing, different people that I know, their different scenarios. There are some people who aren't here today
Mm-hmm.
because of the stuff that they were doing. And so, like you said, depending on what people are into, sometimes they may have to sit for a little bit to be able
Mm-hmm.
to get to preserve themselves, so that way they can mature and be ready for when they do come out. So I understand that. Do you ever feel
Mm-hmm.
like, I felt like survivor's guilt, right? At times where I'm like, damn, like I'm doing certain things that I know people who were doing um similar things that I was doing the same thing that they was doing growing up. And maybe I just didn't get caught, right? They got caught. And now there's certain things that they can't experience. And so I'm feeling bad because it's like I don't even feel comfortable even bragging about or I'm saying, like gloating about what I'm doing, because I'm like, I feel bad because there's people who used to be in my circle or people who I used to kick it with that can't experience these things because of some of the decisions that we made, that even though we didn't make it at the same time, they just the ones that got caught that time that they did. You know what I mean? Do you ever feel like kind of survivor's guilt in that sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm still to this day losing people, right?
Mm.
I'm still to this day. It's somebody that I've grown up with, who's passing away, um, in the craziest ways, man. Or, some of them have gotten into drugs terribly. Uh, so yeah, I definitely feel survivor guilt. Definitely, definitely. So I can definitely relate with that.
Man, that's
Mm.
that's real. So let's transition into, what you're starting to do or what you've been doing. Um, in regards to reshaping the community, because I think that's important that folks understand that there are people that are out there from the neighborhood doing things for the neighborhood that
Mhm.
aren't necessarily like, hey, give me your money, give me some money, give me some money. But instead, they're like, here's what needs to be done. I'm putting in the work. And now the community is starting to invest in what you believe in and what you've been able to put the work into. Can you talk a little
Mhm.
bit about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I still do game prevention and intervention. I just think it's important to utilize my story in that way, because the reality is that our young people don't know. They're kind of like on autopilot.
Hmm.
They don't realize that those certain gems, right? Um, those certain jewels that they need to know in order to continue on and continue to grow in the right way. So just I'm really kind of breaking barriers by opening their eyes up to the truth. Um, Man, I was called to the Del Paso Heights community. So a lot of the work that I'm currently doing now is in the Del Paso Heights community, at Grant High School. So I work with the older kids, our high schoolers, and it's through Roberts Family Development Center. So what I am is a coordinator. So I run a program out of Grant High School. So we we serve. Our core group is about 80 to 100 kids, but we actually serve more close to 300 kids at Grant High School. So supporting the football team, we are providing exposure opportunities for them, right? So taking them on trips. Last year they went to we had 5 kids who went to Africa, um, and
That's
then
dope. That's
yeah, that
dope.
was big. This year we've taken a couple of trips to Los Angeles. They got to meet with the county supervisor and different people like that, right? So just exposing them, right? We're big on exposure. They take trips. We want them to go camping. We want them, to meet people. Every Wednesday, we have a guest speaker come into the space, right? And they are from different walks of life, right? I believe, yeah, you came, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So you came one.
Sir.
Yeah, you came. And so, they're different walks of life, different professions, right? And we just have them pour into them, right? And we let them know how important it is to network, right? So at the end of it all, we like, yo, don't you better go get an email, get a phone number, go get something. Make sure you ask questions. Make sure you attentive, because you never know when you might need this person down the line, or you might need to cross this bridge down the line. They learn financial literacy, workforce development, college readiness and preparation, right? So just all of those things, and so we are really big on our high schoolers now, because um, they don't have that much time,
Yeah.
right? They finna be adults. They adulthood is right around the corner, and so we pour into them really really heavily. So that's a lot of the work that I'm doing now. But really just cultivating, different partnerships and different relationships throughout the community. Um, there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. So I kind of have my hands in a little bit of everything. Yeah.
I love that, bro. So
Mhm.
tell me, what is something that like you've learned over these past few years, working with the youth, working with folks at Grant? Like what's something that you've learned? Because I know notice for me, it's I'm learning the way that like the youth cater to, or how to cater to the youth a little bit more, right?
Mhm.
Like the more you connect with them, the more you work with them, you're like, oh, okay, it's not the way we used to connect back in the day,
Mhm.
right? It's a different group, a different culture, it's a different community. So like, and I'm learning that, like I recognize, like I never wanted to be that OG yelling at the kids like your music sucks, right? Like, because that's what
Mhm.
the OGs did to us, right? They was like, you listen to that hippity hop, like we don't want to hear
Mhm.
that, turn on the pop, or not the pop, but the R&B and you know what I'm saying, like the funk, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I'm learning, like I never wanted to be that person, and so I've always not tried to diss their music, you know what I'm saying? Like or diss their way of expressing themselves. And I'm learning that life is adaptive, right? Like you gotta shift. But what is it that like you've learned working with the youth throughout your experiences, with them in Grant or at RFDC, and then we're going to talk about, a product of my environment in a second as well too. But tell me, like, what have you been able to learn?
Whew. So to be honest, man, that's kind of like a multi-dimensional question because again, when I started this work, mind you, when I started this work, I was 18,
Mm,
right, and so I still was there.
yeah.
So I connected with the youth for a very very long time. Over the last few years, I'm starting to experience the oh, what's up, Unc? And hold on, man,
Ah, the
I ain't
OG.
nobody, Unc. And that tripped me out. So that's why I be trying to keep my face shaved a little bit, I try to clean it up because I ain't gonna, hey, listen, listen. I'm like, I ain't nobody. I got like my nieces and nephews is still a little bit young. I got one older one, but still, man. Um, so now I'm starting to learn, man, that it's a whole different generation now.
Mm,
It's a whole different generation now. We are up against a whole different beast. Um, we are up against kids who, I'll say this, it's a whole different generation, but the foundation is still the same.
right, right.
And so when we talk about how to adapt, number one is it's just always leading with respect. I don't have run in with the youth because I'm always leading with respect. Number one, I'm gonna ask you how you doing every day. I'm gonna shake your hand. I'm gonna say what's up to you. I'm gonna give you your space. I'm gonna understand and respect those boundaries. But I'm also gonna be firm in my position. I'm also gonna articulate myself in a way that you can understand. Right. So just learning to keep them at the forefront and keeping the fact that all they really want at the bottom line is to see that you care.
Hmm.
Because the reality of it is that they don't have many individuals, especially adults, examples in their lives that truly truly care and who's consistent in caring,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know from my experience, the fact that my youth know I care, they know I'm gonna show up when I say I'm gonna show up, they know I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do, I'm keeping my word, I'm a man of integrity, right? I'm providing them with opportunities and experiences and things of that nature, man. It's good. It's good, right? I'm able to get a lot out of the youth, but I'm also able to connect with them because again, I say they me yesterday. Just because what I went through in the past looks a little bit different, it still has those same characteristics. It still has that same foundation. So just being creative in the ways that you connect with them. So just learning how to do that over and over, and with different with different age groups and different generations that's coming up.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think
yeah,
let me jump in real quick if you don't mind. I think a
no,
part
you
of that
good.
too is respecting that they have challenges as well too. Like I
Hmm.
think oftentimes, like sometimes older generation will try to make it seem like, oh well, you ain't going through nothing, right? And I even
Hmm.
remember hearing that too when I was younger, right? Like you what you going through ain't real life. Yeah, but it's everything to me right now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all that I have right now. And I think if we're able to respect that and acknowledge that, yeah, it may seem like it's nothing to us because we've been through more. But if all you've been through is A, B, and C, you're not worried about elemental P. You like A,
Hmm.
B, and C is everything. So if I
Hmm.
lose A or B or C, that's a third if I lose one of those three. You know what I mean? As opposed to like trying to belittle or make it seem like as if it's not that big to them, but acknowledging like where they are and respecting their experiences as it is, as opposed to and holding them accountable to where we've been in what our experiences are.
Absolutely. I mean, and to take it a step further, who's to say that we've been through more?
Mm,
We may have been conditioned for more
right. Oh,
because our times, was cause for that. But if you got these babies who aren't really conditioned, that one thing that happens to them can mean everything.
right.
That can mean the world, right? So it's that question that I always ask: how you gonna tell me how to feel?
Mm-hmm.
How can you be the gauge of my emotions and my feelings and how something affects me? You
Right.
can't do that. You can't do that, right? So, just really meeting them where they at and not where you want them to be.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real. My bad. I interrupted you. You was about to say something right before
No, no, you good. You good.
Okay.
That was it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
we straight.
Let's go into a product of my environment. Where does that stem from? Where did the obviously I'm assuming it came from your experiences, right? but talk to us about what made you decide to fund this and what's it about and where's it going.
Man, so my first love, man, my first love before anything was music.
Mm,
My first love before anything was music. Man, I wanted most people wanted to be like, famous and superstars and things like that, but for me it was a form of therapy. And I remember her saying, you know, a line in one of my verses where it was like, "I'm just a product of my environment. I wouldn't mind the product if I was the one designing it."
hmm.
So and so that I broke that. Like I really thought about that, right? I really thought about it, and I'm like, damn, I got the power to I got the power to design the product. I got the power to actually do that. Um, and so for me, the youth that I'm targeting, the youth that I enjoy working with, right? They come from that whole ideology. They are products of their environments, and they don't know that they have the power to control their input versus their output, right? What they accept. That environment, that product is yourself, right? And you can create that within yourself. It doesn't matter what's around you. You can come out differently, right? And so that's the whole ideology behind product of my environment. But really, it's about conscious revolution. Really, I realized that in order for me to change, I had to change my whole mentality, and just breaking down those steps on how to do so. Right. So that's what product of my environment is truly about. Long term goal is creating a true village. A true village. I'm talking about I'm talking about acres of land, right? Animals, transitional housing for youth, 13 to 17, providing therapy services for them, right there on site, to where they can deal with a lot of their adolescent trauma, and then connecting them to internship, apprenticeships, and then also college readiness, right? To get to a point where they are, you know, successful and equitable members of the community. So yeah, that's legacy though. Once that happens, I'm okay with leaving this earth. I'm all right. I'm okay.
Yes, sir. I think I definitely there's a program that I'll definitely tell you about. Maybe you
Mhm.
hopefully you can join next year. There's a program that we've been doing since I've been helping out with since 2019. It's called a Black Future Fest, and so we've been doing it. We did it online from 2019 till 2024. This was the first time we did it in person. It was actually in Riverside at La Sierra University. It was really dope. But we kind of talked about, brainstormed with other educators, community leaders as well. And they had a sports camp for young kids that wanted to do it like an IQ test and athletes test. It was really, really dope. But we kind of brainstormed about different ideas and building the future for young Black families, young Black students, to see like what the future could potentially be. And so I would definitely think you would be a dope person to be able to either speak at, do a workshop at next year. So I'll connect you with the person that's over it, because I think it would be dope if you're able to bring something like your ideas
Absolutely.
for a product of my environment to this, and then we can all kind of help create it as well as a community, so that way you don't feel that burden yourself. But it's super dope, bro.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate that, man. I love to come do that. I love to come do that. Be a part of it.
Dope. So let's talk a little bit about what's the first step that you have for product of my environment, because obviously it's already created and things like that. What's the next step that I don't want to say the first step, but the next step that you have that you're trying to achieve as you climb up this ladder of building a future center and things like that for the community? What's the
Mhm.
next step that you're aiming to try to get to?
That next step is, I mean, curriculum has already been built, right? So that next step is really just applying it,
Mm,
right? Getting those groups of young people that I'm working with, whether it be foster youth or just a group of kids that's in the life, and really beginning to work with them hands on, taking them through the curriculum, creating data, connecting them to different resources, right, and just providing those pathways for them, and building from there, building from there. Currently in school. I'm currently in school. Because
Hey,
I'm currently in school.
yes, sir.
Um,
Okay, okay. What you studying, bro? What you out here studying, bro?
Man, to be honest, I'm studying nursing. I'm studying nursing.
Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go. That's what's
I want
up.
to with a goal to be a nurse anesthetist. So yeah,
Let's go, man.
yeah,
We need some black folks in there. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Especially, our black women. You know what I mean? They're dying. Let's just keep it 100%. They're dying at the birth table. They're dying in the hospitals. They're not being, and not just black women, people aren't being treated for pain. You know what I mean? Because they feel like we have a higher pain tolerance, or we're lying and things like that. So we need people in those rooms to be able to advocate, man. So I think
Mhm.
that, like, hey, what got you invested in that?
To be honest, a lot of the work that I've done, like even though I have done a whole lot of stuff in this work, man, I begin to realize that the field of this work is treacherous. Um, I'm gonna just I'm gonna just put it like that. It's treacherous.
No doubt.
There's not a lot of financial freedom in this line of work. It's very rare. It's nonprofit.
Yeah.
I mean, we just we put it out.
And we get it now. It's
Yeah,
non-profit because you're not
and
gonna make a large profit doing this kind of work at all.
absolutely. And I'm okay with nonprofit for my passion, but I still
Yeah.
need for profit, right, for my family and to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish, right, and just developing sources of residual income. However, I had to really think about it. Like I didn't want to go to school uh, with no plan or just kind of get like a bullshit degree, right?
Right.
Because school costs money. And so for me, is what can I do?
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I still want to help people. I still want to serve people, and I've always been a little bit interested in the medical field. And so I just started doing research, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be no doctor. I for sure don't want to be a surgeon. Okay. And I stumbled up on nursing, and I'm like, okay, nursing's cool. Then I stumbled up on nurse anesthetist, and just the whole pathway to get there. And I was like, boom, okay, that's what it is for me. That's what I
So
want to do.
what does a nurse anesthetist do?
So what they do is they essentially help the anesthesiologist put patients to sleep in the
Got
surgery
you.
room, essentially.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
critical for sure.
critical.
Definitely necessary. So you're gonna be like, countdown from 100,
Yeah,
99.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
No doubt. That's what's up, man. I think, yeah, we definitely need more people, in the medical field, people who look like us, who come from the communities, who are willing to just have that knowledge, right? That information. I think a lot of people forget that, you know, we have always had folks who were very smart, who passed down the knowledge, right,
Hmm.
to the rest of the community. Now whether people decided to receive it, people decide to share it, that's on them, but we've always had people in positions to pass down the knowledge, and somewhere I think that message got lost, I think, within our generation. And I always, my immediate thing is to always go back to crack cocaine, because I don't think a lot of people recognize how bad that impacted the black community.
Oh
Like,
man.
the black community was like on the verge of being prepared to overthrow our entire economic system and shift it, right? And
Hmm.
then they killed all of our leaders. They, right, or killed or imprisoned, what I'm saying, all of our leaders, some of them on, most of them on fake charges, a lot of bullshit, right? And things like that, forced them to go overseas and things like that in exile, and then they flooded our communities with cocaine,
Hmm.
and then started to give us guns, and then started to put us in prison for use of cocaine and for killing. Like, it was this master manipulation. And I think because of that, folks who were born in the 80s and the 90s, we are trying to build back up from the system that was used to wipe us. Like, we were literally cut from the knees. And so I think that we are the generation of people that lost that information, because there was that disconnect between the older population who suffered. And I think it's important for us to have grace, right, for them, because they didn't know what what was happening to them. They didn't know that people went down into bunkers and figured out how can we make Huey P. Newton's life a living hell? How can we destroy the black community? How can we make sure that they're not economically free? So we have to give them some grace, but the knowledge that we lost in that set us back like 50, 60, maybe even 100 years. And so we've always had people prior to that that was always passing down the information, passing down the knowledge, passing down the stuff to be able to make us better. I don't know what's your thoughts on that.
My thoughts is the new Jim Crow. that, that book blew my mind.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I'm not,
Michelle Alexander for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely. When I read that, man, it was like, oh, because it was a plan. And,
Yeah.
and it's always been a plan to keep us down. I mean, you got to wonder why we are still against each other. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't got to wonder. You just got to know,
It's there.
right? Yeah, it's
There.
there. It's out there in the open. So I definitely believe it set us back.
Yeah.
But that's why I also believe that the work that we do is so important because our future babies depend on us. We on our way out. You know what I'm
Right. Right.
saying? We still are creating ways, we still can make impact, but it's them that's gonna really matter in the next generation or two, right? And so, the more people who get on board with that, right, especially real black men and real black women who understands, the importance of saving our people and how strong and powerful we truly are, how we are kings and queens, you know, it's important for us to jump on board with essentially saving our people. Uh, so yeah, it's unfortunate the whole crack era, and we caught. I think we the same age, so we caught the tail end of it.
Right. Right.
We caught the tail end of it, but me personally, I seen what it did to my dad,
Yeah.
and my even my uncles, my family members, right? And so I I never could indulge in it.
Yeah.
Uh, but unfortunately, some people kind of have those same experiences and then they overly indulge in it, right? Well, my dad did it, so I got to get into it. Man.
Right.
It's terrible. It's
Yeah.
It's generational curses that we got to break.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to shout
Mhm.
out OG Molly Johnson in the comments. Appreciate you always showing love to the Wise
Yes,
Word
sir.
Wednesday show. Appreciate it. She said, speak on it. She said, speak on it for
Yes,
sure.
man. Yeah, yeah,
Because,
yeah.
and that's the part that I get frustrated, even, in education. I get frustrated in the research. I get the research that's been published, the articles, the way we talk about each other on social media, the way we talk about the way people talk about us on social media, the way they talk about us in the news. It's like y'all are ignoring this huge component that took place into causing us to be the way that we are today. Like it's easy to say, oh man, all they do is gang bang or kill each other. It's easy to say all they do is sell dope. It's easy to say all they do is fight, but you're missing the point, the part where like we were strategically manipulated to do this. It's like,
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like in that NWA movie where he's like, we got, drugs and guns and drugs from Colombia and guns from Russia, and none of us got a got a passport. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Where did it come from? It came from y'all. And now you're mad because of the way that the communities are based on that. And then you're punishing the communities for being that way. I don't know. It's just, I get so frustrated when I'm reading stuff and people are talking about our communities, especially communities of color, specifically Black communities, when that without contextualizing it. You know what I mean?
Who's behind that? Who's
Huh.
behind the media?
Yeah,
You control the media, you control the narrative.
that's a fact. Malcolm X said that for sure.
You control the media, you control the narrative. It's That's the reason why they don't want us to own, one of the three major media companies. That's a
Hmm.
reason why they don't want us to own big time social media platforms. That's the reason why even live streaming is under attack. You got who is that? Kai Cenat.
I
They,
cannot. Yeah,
they
yeah.
trying to buy him out left and right. And he's like, nope,
Right.
not doing it. Don't know how long that's gonna last for, but
Yeah.
there's a reason why they don't want certain individuals, especially black powerful individuals, behind the scenes that's going to be able to push the narrative. Because once we open our eyes, there is no force more powerful than us.
Right.
No force.
That's real. And I think sometimes I get frustrated when I see our own people as well too, like that have media platforms who choose to indulge in the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Who choose to like, and I get it. I'm all for like you got to take care of your family. You got to do what you have to do to take care of your family, but at what expense, right? Like at the expense of do you destroy the world to save yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like
Shit, I'm not. I'm. I can't go out. I'm not selling my soul. I'm not selling my soul, man. I got somebody else to answer to though. You
You
know
know,
what I mean? So,
exactly,
see,
exactly. And what good is a world if you're the only person in it? You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? If you're the only person
absolutely.
there, what good is it? So I sometimes I get frustrated, man. But I definitely appreciate the work that you're doing, everything. And I love the conversation, man. I always try to talk about this in this show, and I actually forgot when my boy Funk was on here. Forgot to ask him, and I'm pissed off about it that I couldn't remember it. But I was just so excited to have him on the show, and he was like, "Hey." He's like, I was supposed to be at a video shoot right now, but I'm doing it for you. I'm like, oh, bro, thank you, thank you. So I was trying to rush through it, but the point of this show is really meant to give people insight, right? Like who have desires, who have career choices, who have a passion that they're interested in, and but to give them like an insight as to, hey, man, what are some things that some wisdom that you can possibly let them know, you know what I mean, as they're in their careers. So I always ask people, like, kind of think of it like this, man. If there was a wise word you would give yourself, or some words of wisdom you could give your younger self, what would you tell the younger version of you, in order to prepare for life? What's some good insight or information you would have for them?
Man, it's probably something that everybody has probably heard before, but if you really understand the value of it, you are going to be good. And it's really your network is your net worth.
Mm,
Your network is your net worth. Cultivate relationships. As long as you have relationships with people, the opportunities is endless. As long as you are in the service of people, the opportunity is endless. I can't tell you, how many rooms I have been amazed to be in, how many opportunities. I just came uh, from being honored at the Oakland A's versus Giants game. I threw out the first pitch,
let's
an
go talk
honorary pitch,
about it. Talk
right?
about it.
And that
Yeah.
was that was literally off of cultivating a relationship. Somebody who says, "Yo, I see you. I love what you're doing. You're passionate about your work. I can tell you're sincere.
Mm,
I would be honored if you represent." That was Golden One who said, "Hey, if you will represent Roberts Family Development Center and Golden One in an honorary first pitch," right? And so, amazing
dope.
opportunity.
That's
And
dope.
that's just one space that I've been in, right? That was just based off of cultivating relationships. Uh, but those same people who are in powerful positions or who are in places that you are aiming to go to have the power to change your life like that,
Mm,
just by having a real sincere relationship. So, man, get to know people. Stop walking past people and not saying nothing.
yeah.
I'm one of those individuals that'll walk into Walmart for one thing and won't leave out 2 hours later because I saw somebody who just said something to me and I said something back, and I just built a whole relationship right there. Be talkative, be open minded. You never know who you're gonna meet. So if you walking around with your head down and you don't want to say hi and don't want to be polite and say walking through this world, not like that, you're missing so many opportunities. I even
Yeah.
had a dream about it. Like I seen so many individuals that look familiar, and God was like, those are people that you were supposed to talk to that you never said one word to.
Damn.
That stuck with me. So
Yeah.
now I try to say, "What's man, how you doing? Hello." To everybody. I don't care who you are. As much as I can. Hello, how you doing? Glad you're doing all right. But being sincere about it. But just, cultivating relationships is the biggest thing for me.
I love that, man. I love that. I appreciate it. And I honestly, I'm super excited to see, the growth that you're going to have in the future as well too. I mean, I think obviously if
Man.
you're starting this journey of working at 18, right, and until now, I mean, obviously there's been a huge transition, right, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next, what was it? Was that 17 years? I'm looking forward to seeing the next 17. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
I think with the amount of knowledge, information, the maturity, the development that you've had over those years, now you can be able to apply it even more, right, with your level of wisdom and stuff like that too. So it's just really dope, man, to see people do some great things. I'm glad that you got a chance to throw the first pitch out at the game. I think
Man,
that's hella dope, man. That's legendary status.
that was big.
And continue to let me know if there's anything that I can do. I personally don't think this is the last time we're gonna do an episode together, just because I feel like it flows so great, you know what I'm saying, so much. And I think there's so much more information that we need to unpack.
Mhm.
Obviously this is, my audience's first time being introduced to you, but I know there's so much more deeper that we can dig into, and I'm looking forward to doing that hopefully on another episode relatively soon. Any last words you want to leave the people with?
Man, I appreciate y'all. Those of y'all who stayed on or just popped right in for a little bit. Um, I really appreciate y'all, man. This is something that I'm truly passionate about. So, if there's any jewels or gems that you got from my conversation, I'm blessed to even be in the space to do so. If you want to follow me, my Instagram is levels2_poem. That's LEVELS, the number two, and then underscore POME. Uh, Other than that, man, love y'all. Bless. Appreciate you too, bro.
Man, that's all love, man. Once again, thank you to everybody. I know we had quite a few people popping in on the IG live.
Mhm.
Some folks left some comments. So thank you for each and every person, whether you're watching the recorded version on YouTube right now
Mhm.
or on Facebook. Want to say thank you. Thanks again to my guests, man. It's always a pleasure to connect with you. And I'm looking forward to y'all leaving like I always leave y'all with the we fresh. And I love you. And I will see y'all on the next episode, man.